Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Had the Power to Control Vectors, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Back home at last, Naraco said as she saw Konoha on the horizon. It had been 3 years since she had seen it. She was curious to see how everyone had changed. She herself hadn't changed too much. She had gotten taller and her boobs had gotten bigger, much to Naraco's and Jiraiya's joy. We're finally back. I thought I was going to die if I didn't see a girl soon. Jiraiya said all too dramatically. You do realize that I'm a girl? Naraco said. You're too undeveloped to interest me. Jiraiya said. That wasn't what you thought when you tried to peek on me bathing. Naraco said with a slight tick mark. You must have imagined it. Jiraiya replied. Naraco said no more as they entered the village, and there Naraco saw 3 very important people. Minato and Kushina hadn't changed at all, but Minima had. She was just as tall as Naraco and her boobs had grown too. But not as much as she had. Naraco thought in delight. Minima's hair had also turned a few shades darker than Kushina's hair, but other than that Minima was just as Naraco remembered her. Hey guys, great to see you. Naraco said happily. Jiraiya didn't do anything perverted to you, right? Kushina said with the utmost seriousness. What, it's been 3 years and the first thing you ask is if I raped her? Jiraiya yelled. Do you really think I would do something like that? Yes, Kushina replied. What? Jiraiya yelled, looking very offended. As Kushina and Jiraiya started their shouting match, Minato and Minima walked to the side to talk with Naraco. I'm glad you're back, Minato said. Me too, Naraco said. Has anything happened since I was gone, like information about Naruto or Mito? Minato looked down at her sadly. No, Naruto disappeared off the face of the earth and no one even seen the girls since they ran away. I see, Naraco said, sounding disappointed. How's everyone else doing? Naraco, you have no idea. Minima said. When you left, the whole village was told about the Akatsuki and everyone started training even harder than before just to make sure they're strong enough to help you. Seriously? Naraco asked. Yeah, the ninja from a class especially worked really hard. Minima said. That's amazing. So did anything else happen that I should know about? Naraco asked. Well, you know that guy Gaara you fought in the Chunin exams. Well, he's become a Kage. Minima said. That's pretty cool, but wait, he's a Jinchuriki too, shouldn't we warn him about the Akatsuki? He might have been a little insane when I meet him, but if he's became a Kage he must be better. Naraco said. Yeah, about that, Minato said. I tried to schedule a meeting with all the villages that currently have Jinchuriki, but it fell through. The sand and the mist were too busy rebuilding the village after the death of their previous Kage and were still on shaky terms with the rock and lighting, so they refused to come. The Waterfall village still refuses to admit they have a Jinchuriki even though everyone already knows they do. Naraco looked disappointed. She didn't want any of the Jinchuriki to be captured. It was wired, but after Mito ran away Naraco felt like it was her duty to try and help as many people as possible. It didn't make any sense, but Naraco felt that some way somehow Mito would know that she was actually doing good things now instead of putting them down. Anyways, let's go see everyone. Minima said, grabbing Naraco's arm. They'll be happy to see you and I can't wait for you to see how everyone's changed. Naraco and Minima ran off with Minima more or less dragging her sister. I see she hasn't lost her energy. Kakashi said, suddenly formed behind Minato. Yeah, I'm happy that the threat of the Akatsuki hasn't dampened her mood, but you don't think that will last long? Kakashi said. I don't. You see, the truth is I thought I would have to call Naraco and Jiraiya back before the 3 years were up, but the Akatsuki didn't make any move. Minato said, concerned. Well, they weren't active before Naraco left. In fact, if it wasn't for Orochimaru we wouldn't know of their existence. So they might not even be close to making their move. Kakashi said. That's what the other Kages believed too when I approached them about the meeting, but something's just not right. Minato said. What do you mean? Kakashi asked, wondering what Minato was so concerned about. It not just the Akatsuki who haven't made a move, but the whole world has come to a standstill. There hasn't been any major fighting since Naraco left. The Kirigakure civil war ended and everything's going well. Gaara has won acceptance in his village and there's been no major disputes with other villages. Minato said. Isn't that a good thing? Kakashi asked. Normally it would be, but it's strange that after so much violence, especially in Kirigakure, that it would just end. Kakashi, do you know what happened in Kirigakure right before Naraco left? Minato asked. Weren't some prisons assassinated and documents concerning the fourth Mizukage destroyed, and one of the 7 swords stolen? Kakashi said. That's exactly what happened. After that incident, everything just came to a stop. I have a feeling that those prisons knew something that no one else should know and that the deaths were just the last part of cleanup, but it's been 3 years since then and I'm positive that things are going to start getting messy. Minato said, looking up at the sky where dark clouds were rolling in. How do you know? Kakashi asked. I just have a feeling that the piece has been stacked up like wood and that someone is going to light a match and turn that piece into an inferno of chaos. Minato said. Then we better be prepared. Kakashi said. I don't know how prepared we can be for something like this. Minato said. Minima led Naraco to a nearby Baroque restaurant where Minima had told everyone from the graduating class to meet. Hey Naraco, it's been a while. Ino said as they entered. Sorry about Choji, he already started eating without you. Don't worry about it, Naraco said as she took her seat. So how did your training go? Choji said while he was chewing his food. It went well, I feel like I've gotten a lot stronger. Naraco said, kind of embarrassed. Well, don't think we've been slacking. Sakura yelled. I've been training under Suna as a medical nin and Sasuke has his full Sharingan now. Really, Sasuke? Naraco asked. Yeah, I did, but I never would have gotten anywhere if my brother hadn't helped me. Sasuke said casually. Don't say that, Sasuke, your brother doesn't have anything on you. Sakura said as if Itachi helping Sasuke was a personal insult. Could you be any louder? Shikamaru said in his laid-back tone. I'm going to be the crap out of you. Sakura yelled. Please don't fight, Hinata said, trying to calm Sakura down. That's when everyone stopped what they were doing to look at Naraco, who was laughing like a madman. Naraco, are you all right? Minima asked, concerned. I'm fine, Naraco said, getting a hold of herself and wiping the water from her eyes. It's just when I came back I thought everyone would be so different, but it's like nothing changed. I'm glad for that. Hey, we've changed. Do you know how strong I've gotten? Kiba said, sounding offended. She meant personality-wise, not strength-wise, you idiot. Sasuke said. Oh, I knew that. Kiba said, a light blush forming on his face. Sure you did, Ino said. We didn't come here to argue with each other. Hinata said, which caused everyone to go silent. Oh yeah? Sakura said, looking at Naraco. What it is? Naraco asked, getting a little uncomfortable with everyone's eyes on her. We came here to tell you not to worry. Hinata said. We've all decided that we are going to help you. We all worked hard over that last 3 years to make sure we could beat Naruto and bring him back. Hinata said with a bright smile. Naraco was touched by her friend's kind words, but, Hinata, are you sure your sisters is still missing? Don't worry about that, Hinata said. Because we also going to find Mito, Hitomi and Hanabi. We're going to make it up to them and everyone's here to help. Hi, the group said. I don't know what to say, Naraco said, feeling her heart warm up. Then don't, because actions speak louder than words, Sasuke said. Naraco took Sasuke's suggestion and sat down to have a fun meal with her friends just as it started to rain. Naruto watched the girls spar against Hiden. Naruto was impressed with their progress over the past 3 years. Sugetsu couldn't even handle the 3 of them anymore in a fight, that's why they had switched over to Hiden. Now Hiden wasn't allowed to use his little blood technique, since then he would surely win along with killing the girls, but even without that he was a force to be reckoned. His side skills and taijutsu were extremely good and the odd way his side moved made it hard to dodge, but that didn't stop the girls from winning from time to time. The rules of the spar were easy. If the girls managed to land a blow that would be fatal on a normal person, then they won, but if Hiden managed to get a decently good strike on all 3 of the girls, then he won. Out of the total spars, Hiden won about 60% of the time. It was impressive that the girls could hold their own against an S-class, but everyone knew that Hiden wasn't S-class for his skill. It was only because of his immortality and blood-killing jutsu that made him S-class, and if it was a fight to the death, Hiden would wipe the floor with the girls. Most of the girls' wins came when Hitomi would manage to trap Hiden in a genjutsu with her now fully active Sharingan. Honestly, it was just sad at how bad Hiden was at Genjutsu. It could take him an upward of 5 minutes to break a simple Genjutsu, more than enough time for the girls to kill him. The other times the girls won is when they would be able to stop his scythe by either cutting the wire that kept Hiden's scythe attached to him or keeping him in a parry long enough for one of the girls to get behind him. This spar was one of the latter. Mito was currently fighting close range with Kiba. Hanabi was throwing her Nuibari at Hiden trying to land a hit, and Hitomi was launching some fireballs from afar. Hiden was dodging pretty well, but with Mito constantly on him he couldn't use his scythe to block the income projectiles. Mito had guts, she was covered in cuts, but none were serious enough for Naruto to take her out of the spar. All the hard work paid off in the end as Hanabi was finally able to price Hiden in the heart. Yes, we did it, Hanabi yelled. This is the first time that we've won without any of us getting taken out. Hitomi said. Hey, you right, Mito said. Yeah, hooray for you. Hiden said angrily as he pulled Hanabi's sword out of his chest. I'm going to my room. Good work as always, Naruto said as he walked by. Shut up, you fucker, Hiden said before he left. I see he's in a good mood as always, Sugetsu said. He's just mad that he hasn't been able to go on any massacres in the last 3 years. Naruto said. It's hard to believe it's been 3 years, Mito said, thinking about how she and her friends had grown these past 3 years. They were all wearing a dark red cloak that basically showed they were part of the Akatsuki but not main members. The three of they had been working hard over the last 3 years and it showed. The rest of the Akatsuki no longer thought of them as the condition for Naruto to join, but as an asset to the organization, although they were still the lowest tier, having nowhere near as much power as the other. The girls had met each member of the Akatsuki at least once when they came to the hideout for one reason or another. There was Sasori, a puppeteer from Suna, and his partner Deodara, a crazy bomber from Iwa. He was actually kind of helpful, however, as he taught Mito how to make hair paper tags more dangerous. Then there was Kakazu, a bounty hunter who the entire time he was with them just started at Naruto like he was some huge piece of meat, and his partner Kisame, who was one of 7 swordsmen. Konan was probably the nicest of the Akatsuki members. Pian and Zestu, who they already knew, and then there was Tobi. Tobi was maybe the only person weaker than the girls in the Akatsuki. He was an idiot with no real power. Mito had no idea how he even got into the Akatsuki. He was also technically Zestu's partner, which was even stranger, but Mito didn't want to hurt her head thinking about the ninja known as Tobi. Today was also the last they were going to be stuck in the hideout because it was the day they left to start hunting Jinchuriki. Well, Hiden and Naruto were anyways. Sugetsu and the girls would be a backup squad as Zestu called it, but Naruto title was much accurate. They were the Akatsuki's errand girls. The job was to do anything and everything the Akatsuki told them to do. Any team could contract Zestu to request them for a mission that didn't involve capturing a Jinchuriki, and when they weren't doing that they were hunting bounties. Mito wasn't complaining, but it just seemed like all the members were too prideful to call in some girls for help, so they would be spending most their time getting money for the Akatsuki. Mito also knew that Hanabi would miss being around a certain someone. Hanabi had a huge crush on Naruto and was trying her best to get him to return her feeling without being a fangirl, but with Naruto personality it was kind of hard to figure out how to do that. It didn't stop Hanabi, however. She had cut her hair shorter and tried her best to look as good as possible when in front of Naruto. She also wore a pair of fingerless gloves, which Naruto had given her, religiously since she was burning herself by holding the Nuibari's wire when she threw it. However, all Hanabi's progress was almost lost one day when Sugetsu finally managed to pin Hanabi down and sharpen her teeth. He managed to do 3 on the left side of her mouth before she broke free. Sugetsu felt pretty good after that day, but Hanabi spent the next week in her room crying about it. She only came out when she heard Naruto talking to Sugetsu outside her room. He casually mentioned how he thought Hanabi looked cute like that. Mito didn't want to tell Hanabi that he probably said that to get her out of her room because Hanabi seemed happy again. Besides, her teeth didn't make her look too bad. Mito didn't know if they made her look cuter, but they certainly made her look stronger. Mito was even thinking about finally letting Sugetsu sharpen her teeth. Well, I'm glad to see you 3 have grown into strong ninjas these past 3 years, Naruto said, breaking Mito out of her thought. But just remember, you're not invincible, and no matter how weak an enemy seems, fight them like it's going to be your hardest battle. The girls smiled. They hadn't been the only ones to change these last 3 years. After Naruto's defeat by the Leaf Ninja, he stopped being so cocky and trained just as hard as any of the girls, even if reading books didn't seem like hard work. Now Naruto was still pretty full of himself, and the girls knew he wouldn't be taking his own advice on fighting weak enemies. The girls would be taking his advice, however, since they knew they weren't invincible. At the level they were at now, they wouldn't be able to beat Naruto when they first meet him, and Naruto had become way stronger since then. The girls didn't think it would be possible when they first met him, but now the girls were truly afraid for whoever had to fight him now. Don't worry, we'll be careful, Hitomi said. Naruto looked at the girls with a smile, not one of his insane killer smile, a soft smile that actually made Naruto seem like a caring older brother, and this made the girls happy. Naruto seemed to realize what he was doing by the girl's face and suddenly returned back to his normal scowl. As if I would worry about you brats, Naruto said. Keep telling yourself that, Mito said. Naruto sighed, knowing that the girls had caught him in his lie, but he'd never admit that he cared for them. Good luck on your missions. I'm getting hidden and we're leaving. Try not to get yourself killed. Goodbye, Naruto, Hanabi said softly, knowing that they weren't going to see him for a while. Goodbye, brats, Naruto said as he got hidden and left the hideout. After Naruto left, it suddenly felt very empty, and that's when the girls finally realized that Naruto had left them on their own. Of course, Suigetsu would still be with them, and the girls had grown just as attached to him as they had with Naruto, but he just wasn't the person they risked Leaf Hunter Nins to meet. I guess we better start looking for bounties, Hitomi suggested. Yeah, it is our job now, Mito said. I don't care who we go after as long as we can get out of this cave, Suigetsu said. Leaving the sand was the best decision Nastu had ever made. By stealing Suna's secrets, he had not only made a bunch of money, but he had also become somewhat famous. He was now an A-rank missing nin. Nastu really hoped that he caused a lot of trouble for that monster who was now leading his former village. Nastu was planning on heading to a nearby village and get some haws with his newfound money, but on his way he met a girl. If Nastu was to guess, he'd say she was about 17. She had long black hair and beautiful green eyes. She was looking at a map, hopelessly lost. Maybe I won't have to get a whore after all, Nastu thought. Hey Missy, do you need some help? The girl jumped at Nastu's words, but looked at eager to talk to him. Thank Kami you're here, I thought I was going to be lost out here forever. Can you tell me which direction this town is in? The girl asked, handing Nastu the map. I can, but I need some sort of payment, Nastu said. Really, how much do you want? The girl said. I don't need any money but something else, Nastu said with a creepy smile. The girl seemed to get what Nastu was implying and blushed deeply. Well, I guess I could give you a little something, but could you look at that map first? Of course I can, Nastu said, looking down at the map only to see it wasn't a map anymore. It was an explosives tag about ready to go off. Genjutsu, Nastu thought before trying to let go of the paper. Too little too late, however, as the tag exploded in his hands. Nastu held back his screams of pain as the explosion burnt his hands black. Why you bitch, I'm going to gut you, Nastu screamed at her as he threw a kunai at the girl who was still standing there, only to realize she was a genjutsu too as the kunai went right through her. Nastu started looking around to try and find who casted the genjutsu, knowing they couldn't be far. Then suddenly a weapon that looked like a needle priced thought a tree in front of Nastu and got him through the stomach. Nastu couldn't stop the screams this time, and before he could even complete his fit of agony, a string connecting the needle to whoever threw it started reeling back in with Nastu on it. He was pulled into the tree that the needle had priced though to get him. Nastu was now stuck up against the tree, not able to move and barely able to look around. He was in trouble and he knew it. There must be some pretty good bounty hunters around here, so it was time for him. He started doing hand signs for a wind jutsu to knock down the tree, but before he could finish, a sword that was charged with lighting chakra cut through the tree like a knife through butter, along with Nastu's neck separating his head from the rest of his body. He was an A rank, Mito asked, walking around the tree. That's what it said in the bingo book, Hitomi said, not quite believing this guy was A rank either. Did we really get that much stronger? Hanabi said. Yes and no, Suigetsu said from his observation spot. It's true you three have gotten stronger, but it was your planning that made the fight so easy. He might have been an A rank and would have given you three a pretty tough fight, but he was outnumbered and caught off guard. It just goes to show that no matter how strong you are, missing one little trick or underestimating your opponents could mean death. You know you and Naruto give out the same advice, but neither one of you do a very good job of following it. Mito said. Sugetsu looked at her with irritation in his eyes. That's because I'm made of water and Naruto has his reflection. We don't need to worry as much. Aren't you just making excuses? Hitomi asked. Just pack up the body so we can get our money. Sugetsu said, walking off. Fine. Mito sighed as she started sealing the body. Hey Mito, what do you think Naruto's doing right now? Hanabi asked. I don't know, but I'm more curious on what my sisters have been doing in the leaf. I bet Naraco's still just as mean and stuck up as the day I left. Mito said, sounding a little bitter. Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, Naraco, Minima and Kakashi were all sitting in Minato office. What did you want to talk about? Jiraiya asked Minato. It's about what's been going on this past week. The murder rate has shot up and high-ranking missing nin are dropping like flies. Minato said. While Minato was giving his speech, something was going on far away. Looks like that's all of them, Naruto said, looking at the 20 or so ninja that were nothing more than piles of flesh on the ground. I thought that after 3 years they would forget about my bounty, but no, it only takes one Chunin to spot me before a small army runs my way. Finally I got to kill something. Hiden, who was covered in blood, said. Let's just get going, I don't want to spend any more time here. Naruto said. There's been a lot more activity too. Minato said. The 5 great nations have suddenly become more guarded. Hey, wouldn't they send more ninjas after us once they find the bodies? Hiden asked. It's possible, but the ninja war is kind of busy right now with the sudden increase of violence. Besides, Kakazu has done way more killing than we have. It seems like he just can't stop hunting bounties. Naruto said. I'm not sure what happened to cause this, but it can't be good. Minato said. You have to have at least some clue. Kushina said. I have my theory, but it's too early to tell. Minato said. What is it? Minima said with a determined look. That the Akatsuki has started to make its move. Minato said. So all this panic just because the Akatsuki went into action? Hiden said, sounding intrigued. The Akatsuki has 9 of the strongest ninjas alive, although I doubt anyone else knows that yet. Naruto said. But everyone knows something else. That the other ninja villages will be divided into people who accepted that something big is happening and people who try and ignore it. Minato said. But what's happening? Naraco asked. The world is starting to move again. Naruto said. Naraco was laying in her bed looking at the ceiling and had been for the past couple of hours. After the meeting with her dad, her brain went into overload, and this was the only way she knew how to clear it. If Minato was right about the Akatsuki, and Naraco was sure he was, then the world would go from slowly starting up aging to moving faster than light. It was a troubling thought, and Naraco knew she'd be right in the middle of it. If no, when the Akatsuki came after her, would she be strong enough? Would they be just as strong or stronger than Naruto? Even though her friends promised to help her, how many of them would have to die before one of the Akatsuki members were taken down? They got lucky when fighting Naruto. If it wasn't for Shikamaru's plan and Minima's sacrifice to provide the information for that plan, then Naruto would have killed a lot more of them than just 2 Anbu. So many questions, so many problems. Naraco wished she could just go back to being an academy student and let everyone else handle things, but that wasn't an option. There was no choice but to keep on keeping on. In the days to come, Minato would be proving right in the fact that the peace was ending. There was a 20 ninja massacre by 2 unknown ninjas. Anbu sent to investigate them never came back, and then the first real confirmation of the Akatsuki arrived, and it couldn't have been a worse wake call for the world. The first Jinchuriki was captured, Gaara the Kazekage of the Sand. He was even captured in his own village, which really showed the world how powerful the Akatsuki was. Suna contacted Minato almost immediately after it happened, asking for help. Minato, who thought that doing this would help his relationship with the Sand, but more importantly to get more information on the Akatsuki, decided to help. Minato was just going to send Guy's team and Kakashi's team minus Naraco, since Minato would not hand the Akatsuki his daughter. To replace Naraco, he would have sent Itachi, but this plan fell though. Itachi was not in the village, instead he was on a highly important mission, and Naraco complained how badly she wanted to go, so the final lineup was Team Guy, Team Kakashi and Kushina to make sure Naraco was safe. You all understand the mission, right? Minato said. Get to Suna, find out what's going on, then trail the Akatsuki to find Gaara. Minima said. Good. But remember, if it gets too dangerous you leave. Minato said with that strict down-to-business tone. Got it, Kushina said. Then you better be on your way. Minato said. Naruto and Hiden were walking through the mountains on their way to Kumo. Why is it so fucking cold? Hiden yelled. Now Naruto prided himself on being calm and collective, but Hiden had been complaining ever since they left the base, and that had been a while ago. That combined with the bounty hunters that tried to kill them and Hiden having them stop every half hour to do his ritual was really getting to him. Because we're in the mountains where it's cold, and maybe you wouldn't be so cold if you put a shirt on. Naruto yelled. There was silence for a brief moment. I don't want to, Hiden said. This caused Naruto punch the rock wall to the side of him in anger. His enhanced punch was so strong that the rock wall was sent crumbling down. And you say I have anger issues? Hiden said. Let's just get going, Naruto said, trying his best not to rip Hiden limb from limb. Actually, it's time for my ritual, Hiden said. That was the last straw for Naruto. He got into an attacking position, prepared to rip Hiden's head off. He would have done it too if Pain hadn't started communicating with them at that exact moment. Sasori and Deidara caught the one tail. We'll be sealing it soon, so get ready. Naruto sighed. It looks like he wouldn't be killing Hiden today. You heard him. Let's find a spot to meditate, Naruto said. What in the fucking cold? Hiden yelled. Naruto, choosing to ignore him, jumped up the side of the mountain so he was off the path. Hiden followed him shortly after, and when they got mildly comfortable they sent their thought to the ceiling statue. Naruto and Hiden appeared on one of the fingers of the statue, looking like some kind of rainbow hologram. Everyone else was already there in their holographic form with the exception of Deidara and Sasori, who were already in the room. Gaara was laid out on the floor in front of them. Now that we're all here we can begin, Pain said. All the Akatsuki members did the required hand sign and a strange aura came from the statue's mouth. Hey, how long is this going to take? Hiden said, becoming bored just after a couple seconds of this. 3 days, Pain said. 3 days? Are you fucking kidding me? We'll be here forever, Hiden said. Hiden, you do long rituals all the time, so why is this a problem? Naruto asked. Because this doesn't have anything to do with Jashin, Hiden said, like it was common knowledge. I hate you, was all Naruto said in reply. Stop your bickering. The longer this takes us, the more time the ninja have to find us, Pain said. So the sand ninja are going to try and crash the party, Kisame said. Actually, then enlisted the leaf nin for help. They'll be at Suna in a day, Zestu said. Who's coming? Kakazu asked. Almost all of Naruto's family along with some other troublesome foes. In fact, 3 days might be too long if we don't do something to stall their progress, Zestu said. I'm guessing you have a plan to stall them then, Sasori said. We called in Sugetsu, the girls and Toby to fight them if they get too close. It's going to be a family reunion, Zestu said. Are they strong enough to beat them? And since they used to be leaf nin, will they even fight them? Kakazu asked what every other Akatsuki was thinking. Well, Naruto, are they? Pain asked. They're probably not strong enough to beat those odds, but they should defiantly be able to buy us enough time, Naruto said. That's not the problem, it's if the girls will fight their home village. After all, your sisters are on both sides, Kisame said. They're loyal to me, Naruto said plainly. They better be, because if they betray the Akatsuki I will kill them, Pain said. The girls, Sugetsu, Toby and a white Zestu clone were set up a couple miles away from the ceiling site going over the plan of attack. Wow, this is exciting, going up against these strong foes. Of course they'll be no match for me, Toby said, doing some kind of fighting pose. Toby, can you stop messing around and get over here? Mito yelled. Now that's not very nice. Maybe if you said, please, then maybe Toby screamed as Sugetsu started shooting water bullets at him. Thank you, Hitomi said. Anyways, back to the plan. They'll want to get to Gaara as fast as possible, so once they find Gaara's scent they probably make a straight shot from the sand, so we should set up traps on this path, Hitomi said, dragging her finger along the map. But won't they be expecting traps? Hanabi asked. We'll just have to make them well hidden. We'll also be able to track their progress thanks to our second set of eyes, Hitomi said, pointing to the white Zestu clone. We'll also have Sugetsu in a nearby pond for an ambush. Hopefully they actually come over there. It's a little out of the way, Sugetsu said. Yeah, But there's a good chance that they'll decided to water walk over the pond instead of taking their time going through the tress. Hitomi said. What about me? What do I get to do? Toby said. Hitomi turned to Toby and gave him the brightest smile she could. Toby, you get the most important job of them all. You have to guard the area right by the cave and make sure no one gets in if they get past us. Well, that is important, but never fear, Toby won't let any of those ninja scums get past him. Toby said as he went running off. I thought there were already measures taken to defend the cave. Mito asked. There is, but at least this way Toby can't screw anything up. I hope, Hitomi said. The Leaf Ninja arrived at the Suna about a day later, and things were not looking good. Kankuro, who had went out to chase after the Akatsuki, was near death because he had been poisoned. Chio, a very old lady who was apparently Suna's poison expert, couldn't cure it, so The other huge problem was the sandstorm that was raging outside. They couldn't risk traveling because due to the fact that they had to track the Akatsuki, and with all that sand it would be way too easy to get lost. Is there anything we can do to help? Tenten asked Granny Chio. Not unless you know more about poisons than me, and no one does. Chio said. Actually, that's not true, the Slug Queen might be able to do it. She said after thinking about it a little more. Tsunade, this would be right up her alley. Minima said. But there's no way we could get her here in time. Kakashi said. Well, we can't just give up on him. Lee shouted, looking at Kankuro, who looked to be in a lot of pain. Well, the only way he's going to get better is if we have an antidote, but since I can't make one, the only option is to force the man who poisoned him to give us one. Chio said. Who would that be? Kushina asked. Chio avoided looking Kushina in the eyes. Kankuro said it was Sasori of the Red Sand, which would be my grandson. The whole room was silent, trying to take that in. Eventually it got too much for Naraco and she decided to leave. Once out in the hall, she saw Temari sitting on one of the many benches scattered around the hospital. She looked like she had been crying, and Naraco suddenly realized how hard this must be for her. One of her brothers have been kidnapped by the Akatsuki and her other one was dying in the room next door. She reminded Naraco of herself and the two siblings that she couldn't do anything to help. Naraco felt for Temari because if Kankuro and Gaara died, then she'd be all alone. No parent, no siblings, no one. Naraco couldn't even imagine, even when Mito ran away, she had Minima, Kar-san and Tusan, and even after she told them how horrible she had been to Mito, they still loved her. Naraco would need to thank them for that. Hey, are you all right? Naraco said, taking a seat next to Temari. Not really, things were going so well for the village a week ago and now this. Temari said, a few tears running down her face. Don't worry, we'll rescue Gaara and save Kankuro, and you'll be right beside us. Naraco said. Actually, I'm not going. Temari said. Naraco was shocked, she couldn't believe that Temari wasn't going. What? Why don't you want to save you brothers? Oh, course I do. Temari yelled, tears streaming down her face. But the council isn't letting me, in fact they're not letting anyone go. They think Gaara is a lost cause. Why do you think we called you for help? I didn't think about that. Naraco said quietly. Still, I'm glad you came after what we did to you during the Chunin exams. You should be glad that Gaara got captured. Temari said. I would never let the Akatsuki keep Gaara, and not just because we're both Jinchuriki, but because we're friends. Naraco said. Thanks, Temari replied. After one full day filled with worry, the sandstorm finally lifted. The Leaf Ninja were ready to go the moment they could, because every second that they weren't looking was another second that the Akatsuki had with Gaara, the less chance Kankuro had. They weren't the only ones going. Chio was coming to help too. She wasn't a ninja anymore, so the council couldn't stop her. Alright, let's move out, Kakashi said, who had pack-in tracing Sasori thanks to a piece of cloth Kankuro managed to get. They ran as fast as they could and were making pretty good time as the sun started to set. They even managed to reach the forest before long. It felt like they were going to make it within the day, but unknown to them they were being watched. After the white Zestu marked the ninja progress, he went back to the girls and told them their location and who was in the group. So my mom and sister are here, Mito said. Mito, are you sure you'll be able to fight them? They are your family, Hitomi said. Of course I'll fight them. Have you forgotten how my family threw me to the side? Well, I haven't. Naruto's my only family now. Mito yelled, not happy with the question. It was just a question, Hitomi said, surprised by Mito's sudden outburst. Could she still hate her family that much after all these years? Hitomi guesses she shouldn't be talking after all, she still hated Itachi. Anyways, they should be hitting the traps soon, so we should get set up. Yeah, Sugetsu already in position and we don't want to cause Naruto any problems just because we couldn't stop them. Hanabi said. How long till the sealing done? Hitomi asked White Zestu. A little less than a day. He said. Then that's how long we'll have to keep them at bay. Hitomi said. Let's get going, Hanabi said, leading them to the ambush point. Kakashi saw the tripwire dead ahead. It was well hidden, and would have gotten any regular ninja but not Kakashi. Looks like they planted traps. There's a tripwire dead ahead, just avoid it, we don't want to waste time by dismantling it. Hi, the group said as they jumped over the wire. This was the start of a long track, though dozens of traps. Unlike the wire, the next traps couldn't simply be jumped over. They ranged from hidden holes to explosive tags set to go off when someone got too close. The team was good enough not set any of them off, but they had to waste time finding a way around them or dismantling them. This slowed their progress to a crawl. There shouldn't be this many traps, Tenten said. What are you talking about? Naraco said. I'm saying that if it's taking you this long to make it past the traps, it must have taken them just as long to set them up. Now maybe they could have set up a couple here and there, but the traps are everywhere. Do you really think that the people who kidnapped Gaara would stop and waste all this time? That is strange. They must have had someone come and plant the traps after the fact. Kushina said. Why would they do that? What's the point? Minima asked. The whole group thought about it. Well, let's see, you would only plant traps to kill someone or keep someone from you. These traps aren't strong enough to kill us, but what's the point in setting them if your time could be better spent putting more distance between us and them? The only thing that placing traps would be good for is, it hit Kushina like a truck, if they can't move for some reason. These traps are just meant to waste our time. Kushina said, looking around the forest. The only reason they wouldn't be able to move is if they were removing the beast from Gaara. Is that even possible? Lee asked. It is, but it takes a lot of strong ninja to even attempt it, and even then it would take forever to complete it. Chio said. Damn, how much time have we wasted because of these traps? Kushina said angrily. Just clam down, it's not like we can get through them any quicker just because we know they're meant to slow us down, so let's just keep going. Guy said. That's just what they did, slowly made their way through the traps. It took the rest of the day before they finally made it past all of them. Alright, we'll rest here for a couple hours. Kushina said. What, we can't stop now? We still have to find Gaara. Naraco said. We can't risk going any farther right now. Kushina said. If the traps stop, then that means we close, and we're definitely going to have to fight if we get there, so we're going to rest and get a strength up. Then we'll head out. Naraco didn't like it, but she understood Kushina's logic, so she couldn't put up too much of an argument. Naraco wandered around for a little bit looking at the scenery. It wasn't too long before Naraco started to get tired. She guessed going through all those traps really took it out of her. Naraco decided that she would take a short nap. She found a nice soft spot on the ground and fell asleep almost immediately. Naraco, wake up, someone said. Naraco didn't want to. It was so cozy and warm lying in the grass, but Naraco slowly opened her eyes to see Minima standing in front. Naraco thought how pretty her sister looked, sunlight hitting her at the perfect angle, her red hair. So wait a minute, sunlight. Naraco shoot up to look at the sky. The sun wasn't just out, it was high in the sky. Minima, what happened? Naraco asked. Someone cast a genjutsu on us that caused us all to fall asleep. Minima said. But how, we have Kakashi and Sasuke, shouldn't they have been able to spot the genjutsu? Naraco asked. Apparently not, but come on, we have to meet up with Kar-san to figure out what we're going to do. Minima said. Naraco and Minima walked up to join the other. Every looked frustrated and Sasuke and Kakashi looked ashamed for not spotting the genjutsu. We lost a lot of time, but there's nothing we can do about it, so let's get moving on the double. Kushina said. Hi, the group said as they ran off as fast as they could. The white Zestu clone who had been watching them ever since they fell asleep went to report back to the girls. They've woken up, Zestu said to the girls when he arrived. And at the speed they're going they'll make it, if only barely. Damn, if only they could have slept for a little bit longer. Hitomi cursed. Still, you genjutsu got us a ton of time. Mito said. Yeah, that jutsu is pretty amazing, it's the only genjutsu I ever got Naruto with. Hitomi said. Why didn't you just kill them while they were sleeping? White Zestu asked. Ninja are trained to sense attacks even if they're sleeping. My genjutsu only puts them to sleep, it doesn't keep them asleep, which is the reason why I couldn't predict when they woke up. Hitomi said. If we had tried to attack him, the odds are they would walk up. Then that have that much more time, not to mention we'd be completely outnumbered. If only they went over the lake, then Sugetsu would have stalled them for long enough. Hanabi said. Well, that didn't happen and we can't go back and get him, so it looks like we'll be the ones fighting. Hitomi said. I wonder how my family's going to react when they see we've joined the Akatsuki. Mito said. Maybe the shook alone will be enough to stall them. By the way, how long do we have to stall them for? Hitomi asked White Zestu. Not long, 30 minutes at the max. He said. Then we better get moving. Hanabi said as the girls started running to the ambush point. The group was on the move again. With no more traps, they were able to leave the forest behind and were now in a valley with trees on either side of them. It was dangerous to travel in the open like this, but they could travel at full speed this way. Their scents are getting stronger, we're almost there. Pakken said. Yes, we're going to make it. Lee yelled. The celebration was cut short, however, when dark clouds suddenly started to roll in and a lightning bolt came from the sky. The group had to dodge out of the way to avoid being fried. We're beginning attack defensive positions. Guy said. Neji, use your Byakugan and figure out who launched that lightning bolt. Guy, the first think you mean figure out who's launching lightning bolts. Kakashi said as lightning started to rain down on them. The group was forced to keep dodging the seemingly endless supply of lightning bolts while Neji scanned the area. Found him. Neji said after 2 minutes of searching. In that tree, they're using the leaves as cover. Got it, Kushina said as she shot a chain at high speed towards the tree Neji pointed at. They all saw Kushina's chain hit the tree, causing it to splinter into a million pieces, but they also saw a blur holding what looked like 2 swords jumped out of the tree before Kushina's chain hit. Damn, I missed. At least the lightning stopped. Minima said. Yeah, but if we don't get him, then it's just going to start raining lightning again. Chio said. Then let's get going, we don't have a lot of time. Tenten said, but before they could make it one step towards their target, about 50 small fireballs were launched at them from the other side. Earth wall. Kakashi said, doing a few hand size, putting a wall between them and the fire. Looks like there's more than one. Kakashi said. That can't be, I would have noticed. Neji said, looking through the wall with his Byakugan. Something's coming. Neji yelled. Everyone dropped to the floor as a needle priced through the wall Kakashi had made. It would have priced Lee's heart had it not be for Neji's warning. The needle was embedded in the ground for a second before it was pulled back through the wall by a string connected to it. Just as the group was getting back on their feet, the lighting started again. It's never ending. Kakashi said as he was forced to dodge another bolt. We've got to do something. Kushina said. I've got an idea. Minima said. Neji, can you find who's shooting that lighting again? Sure. Neji said as he started scanning the area. Found him, Neji said, pointing to another tree. Car-san, can you shoot a chain at the tree again? Minima asked. But he'll just dodge again. Kushina said. Don't worry about that. I've got a plan. Minima said, placing her hand on the ground. Alright, Kushina said, sending another chain at the tree. Just like last time, the tree was destroyed by Kushina's chain and a figure jump off, but this time one of Minima's chains shot from the ground under the figure since Minima knew he would dodge. The figure, unable to move in midair, was caught by Minima's chain wrapping around his leg. Minima then used her chain to throw the figure toward the group. The figure was sent tumbling to the ground just in front of them. They couldn't see who it was due to the dust that had risen due to the impact, but when it cleared they got the shock of a lifetime. Wow, it looks like I underestimated you. Mito said, brushing the dust off her cloak. The whole group couldn't believe what they were seeing, but none were as affected as Kushina. Mito, what are you doing here? Kushina asked, looking at her baby girl. She was holding 2 swords that Kushina knew was the Kiba. I think that's oblivious, I'm trying to stop. Mito said with a cocky smile. That can't be. That would mean you're part of the Akatsuki. Kushina said, tears leaking down her face. That's right, Mito said, seeming like she was having fun torturing them. But why? Kushina yelled. Do you even know what the Akatsuki's trying to do? Kushina said, hoping that they had just fooled her, and when Kushina explained what they were really doing, Mito would come home. The Akatsuki's goal is to capture all the tailed beasts. Mito said matter-of-factly. This broke Kushina's heart. Her own daughter had joined an organization to hunt down Naraco. What could have caused her to do this? Mito, were your family, why would you do this? Everyone was surprised when Mito started laughing. Family, that's a good one. Tell me, Car-san, what kind of family ignores their daughter, and punishes her when Naraco decided to release some demonic chakra? This hit Naraco hard as she remembered all the times she would do that just to get Mito in trouble. Mito, I've changed, I promise that I'm not like that anymore. Naraco pleaded. Even if you have, which Mito didn't believe, it's already too late. I've found a new family in the Akatsuki. One that gives me way more respect than you ever did. Mito yelled, releasing some very potent killer instinct. They could all feel it, the hate that Mito felt for her family. It got them thinking, were they really that bad? Mito, come on, we'll make it up to you. Minima pleaded. Why should I give you the chance? Mito yelled. I don't know what will happen if I go back to the Leaf, but I do know what did happen. When I was in the Leaf I was miserable, but what I found after I left made me happy, so why would I go back? Isn't there anything we can do you make you come back? Kushina said softly. Well, you could beat me and force me to come back as a prisoner since we are enemies now. Mito said, knowing this would really get to Kushina. You can't really mean that. Kushina said in shock. You can't really expect us to fight you. You bet I can. Mito said as she put her two swords together and shoot lightning at Kushina. Kushina, still being in shock for seeing her daughter after all this years, didn't even try to dodge, so it was up to Minima to use her own lighting jutsu and meet Mito's jutsu halfway. When they connected, they cancelled each other out. Mito, just look at the position you're in, you can't really expect to beat us, just look how outnumbered you are. Minima said, trying to make Mito see reason. I'm not as outnumbered as you think. Mito said as two figures that everyone knew jumped to either side of Mito. Lady Hanabi, Neji said in shock. It's been a long time, hasn't Neji? How's my sister doing? Hanabi said, and everyone noticed the three sharpened teeth and wondered how she got them. Hitomi, Sasuke said without much emotion. Sasuke, Hitomi said exactly the same way. So it looks like all of you have joined the Akatsuki. Kakashi said, noticing their wardrobe. You give us too much credit, Hanabi said. We're not even part of the main force. If that's the case, then it shouldn't be too hard to get past you. Sasuke said, making the Namikaze family look at him with a disgusted look. Sasuke, that's my sister and your cousin. We can't just fight them. Naraco said, quiet enough so the girls couldn't hear. I get what you're saying, but we're on a mission and we can't afford to be wasting time. We have to fight, Sasuke said, activating his Sharingan. He's right, it looks like we only have one choice. Kakashi said, getting into a fighting position. Naraco didn't like what she was hearing, but if Mito wasn't going to come with them willingly, then what other choice did they have? Sasuke launched a huge fireball at the girls. Hitomi saw this and launched her own equally as big fireball to cancel Sasuke's. Naraco did a great breakthrough wind jutsu to increase the power of Sasuke's fireball. It worked, the fireball smashed thought Hitomi's fireball. Water formation wall. Hanabi yelled, creating a huge wall of water putting out the fireball. That wasn't all, however, as the water continued to flow towards the Leaf Ninja. Crap, it's going to hit us. Naraco said. Don't worry, I got this, Tenten said as she threw a bunch of kunais with explosive tag at the rushing water. The explosion caused the water to collapse in on itself, so instead of a raging wave hitting them, it was a clam steam, like when you let the waves break on your feet at the beach. This moment was short-lived, however, as the Leaf Ninja saw Mito doing some hand signs with her swords on the ground on either side of her. Everyone jump, Kakashi yelled. Everyone did right before the water was electrocuted thanks to Mito's jutsu. But the girls weren't done yet. Since now all the Leaf Ninja were in the air, they wouldn't be able to move, giving Hanabi the perfect chance to skewer one of them with her needle, and her target was Sasuke. With the needle flying right towards him, Sasuke knew there was no way he was going to survive, but right before the needle went thought his brain, it suddenly turned and flew off in a different direction. Sasuke didn't know what happened, and by the look on Hanabi's face, neither did she. They all landed on the ground away from the water safely. What the heck just happened? Naraco asked Sasuke. I don't know, Sasuke said. Well then I guess it was a good thing I was here, or you youngling would be dead. Chio said, holding up one of her fingers, and Naraco and Sasuke could now see a chakra string connected to Hanabi's sword. When did you do that? Hanabi said angrily as she brought back her sword to her hand and cut the chakra string. Chio chuckled at the girl. Maybe your eyes aren't as good as you thought, she said. I did that when you priced the mud wall. They could have sworn they heard Hanabi growl at the thought of an opponent getting a chakra string past her eyes. There's no need to be mad, I just hide my string behind one of your friends when you threw it. Hanabi wanted to kill her for embarrassing her like that, but she knew that if she rushed in there like an idiot she'd get herself killed or captured. Not like rushing in would have been an option at that point since Kakashi and Guy were rushing towards them. The girls got into a defensive position and a taijutsu battle ensued. The girls assumed that they were only using taijutsu because they didn't want to hurt him too badly, because they still had this idea in their heads that they could get the girls to come back. How wrong they were. Now the girls weren't complaining, since if Kakashi was using ninjutsu then the girls would probably be beat. That's not to say it was easy to keep two highly skilled Junin off then in a taijutsu battle. They were doing pretty good thanks to all that training with hidden, so the full fight was the girls trading blows with the Junin, with the exception that Guy would get in a great hit every once in a while since he was by far the best taijutsu user out of all of them. As the fight went on it was becoming more and more oblivious who was winning as the Junin kept making ground. It was a good thing that the rest of the Leaf Nin didn't join, since against all of them there was no way the girls would be able to hold their own, but relief finally came. What Zestu emerged from the ground behind the Leaf Ninja so they couldn't see him, but the girls could. He gave them a creepy smile and a thumbs up, which the girls knew meant that they had stalled for long enough. The girls jumped back to put some distance between them and the Junin. Guy and Kakashi were going to go after them, but Mito's words stopped them. Well, it was fun seeing you guys again, but we've got to go. Mito said right before a smoke bomb went off. Wait, don't go. Kushina shouted in a desperate attempt to stop them, but they had already disappeared. Kushina looked heartbroken for losing her daughter again before she made a decision. Kakashi were going after them. Kakashi looked at her in shock, not knowing what to say. On one hand, going after them would be basically abandoning the mission. On the other hand, the look of determination in Kushina's eyes made Kakashi a little scared to go against her order. Lucky someone had a little more backbone than Kakashi. No, Chio said. I don't care if that is your daughter, the fact is they are the enemy now and going after them will jeopardize the mission, and if you had a brain you would have realized they left because they don't think we can get to Gaara in time. So if we're going to have any chance of saving Gaara we need to live right now. Kushina glared at Chio looking like she wanted to kill her, but she wasn't backing down from Kushina's glare. Fine, let's get going, Kushina said, looking away from Chio. Hi, they all said, although not as energetically as they had before, as they headed off to find Gaara. Unfortunately for them, the Akatsuki didn't leave anything to chance, and by the time they made it to the cave and had to deal with the boulder in the way, the last part of the tailed beast was being extracted. Gaara's dead body hit the hard stone floor with an echoing thud. Finally, Hidden said. Please, after all your whining we should be saying that. Kakazu said. Those girls of yours did pretty well. They let us complete the ceiling without any problems. Zestu said to Naruto. Wait, so does that mean the Nine Tails is outside this cave? Deodara asked. Yes, Zestu said. It looks like I get to bag 2 Jinchuriki. Deodara said. What are you talking about? Pian is the one taking on the Nine Tails. Kisame said. I'm sure he won't mind. Deodara said. Do what you want, just don't get cocky. Pian said in a very threatening voice. Whatever. Hey Naruto, the Nine Tails is your sister, right? What does she look like? Deodara asked. Naruto sighed. Kind of like you. Naruto said before disappearing along with the rest of the Akatsuki. What's that supposed to mean? Deodara said to himself. It doesn't matter now, come on, we have guest coming. Sasori said. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.